Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Port Charles Chat. Today, we're discussing the week of September 9th through September 13th. I'm Mom.
And I'm Brandon.
Thank you so much for joining us today. All right, we're going to start today with actually a top 10 list. Rather than just giving some generic highlights, I'm going to highlight things in a top 10 list. So, you ready, Brandon?
I'm all ready.
All right, great. All righty. So, first of all, things that were important that happened during this week. First of all, I'm going to go ahead and start with the big thing. Alexis. Alexis is arrested for the murder of Jagger. She is arrested on Friday afternoon in that episode. The second thing that we find out is that Christina admits that she stopped by the Quartermain house after the graveyard visit, and she tells this information to Michael. Um, we this week, Lucky is also emphasized, and Lucky is still being held captive, and speaks to Holly again about escaping. Isaiah, who was just run over like last week, is now awake and is speaking. And he speaks to Jordan, Anna, Carly, and Jason. And then we have Carly. Carly asks Brennan to help her locate Lucky. And later on, Brennan does provide the location of where Lucky is, or the general location in Africa. All right, Anna decides that she's going to go to Africa to find Lucky. And then Carly asked Jason to find Lucky also. And then it ends up later that Anna and Jason end up being on the same plane, going to Africa to go find Lucky. Tracy has a meeting with the deception crew, and the meeting is really in regards to Sonny and the impact that Sonny has made to the group, and impact meaning in a negative way, just because of everything that's going on with him. All right. And then for number 9, Rick agrees to defend Ava, and that's after Nina speaking with him. And then the last one, number 10, Brooklyn and Chase decide that they want to have a baby. And those are the top 10 things that I could think of that happened this week. Brandon, did I leave anything out?
I think for the most part, that's it. Then everyone deciding to go to Africa.
Yeah, which is interesting in itself. All right. So now I'm going to move on to some of our ratings and our topics of the week. First of all, let's talk about the overarching storylines of the week. For me, Brandon, there were 2 that stood out. One, once more, it involves Jagger, and it's really the ramifications of everything that has occurred based upon the things that Sonny has done. And that, to me, is one of the things that this week focused on. And then the second thing that we focused on this week was Lucky. Even though Lucky may not have been in every particular episode this week, just the actions of everyone impacted Lucky, or will impact Lucky. And so those are 2 things that stood out to me. Brandon, what about you?
Yeah, well, definitely those 2 things. And actually, even in the preview for this week this past week that we saw last week, we did practically see it was going to be, the implications of the murder of Agent Cates, and then also with Lucky. And sure enough, that was the 2 main parts of the week. But I would also say that we've also had I guess, embedded feeling of, moving on and forgiving. We saw that throughout the week in numerous capacities, but I think Trina speaking to Ava is really what sort of highlighted that, and that Ava was able to help Trina move on after losing Spencer, and so we saw, like, since that moment, going through the rest of the week, people just sort of moving on with their lives, not really, and rather not holding as many grudges as they used to.
Okay, that's true too, Brandon. Thank you for that information.
Of course.
And then I have the performers of the week. There were 2 for me this week. The first one being Alexis, because kind of like I said last week, I think Alexis is doing a wonderful job. They are doing a great job of portraying her as the mother who's just clearly divided. She doesn't know what to do. And the decisions she's making right now, everything is based upon her children and what she thinks is best for her children, or what she can do to protect her children. And so she's acting as a mother. And you could sell that she's just struggling with this, as she doesn't, even with the conversation she's having with her children, she doesn't know what to do. The second person for me for the performer of the week is Molly. I was, this is the first time I've seen Molly, I think, really act. And I kind of like the angry Molly. Molly, I thought she did a wonderful job in or acting in regards to the way she was speaking to Christina. And then even the way she was speaking to Alexis, I may not have agreed with everything, but I think for acting purposes, she did a really good job. Brandon, did you have any performance of the week?
Well, first of all, I really love both of those, and yeah, and to echo what you were saying about Alexis, I mean, I think she's just playing it so well, and especially that from the seams of it, that she would rather sacrifice sort of herself and her own freedom than to implicate her daughter Christina, and that even with Molly, that she's trying to be there for her, but realizing that she's a bit mentally stronger than Christina. And I like what you're saying about Molly, if that she doesn't feel as if Alexis is fully realizing that she needs uh, support too. But I would actually go a little further too, and I'm actually going to say Jordan, because this week I think we've just really seen her sort of at her best, and especially when she was going back into the groove of things with just the simple, stopping a potential assassin, at the hospital and going right back into her old police commissioner vibes, even though she is now the deputy mayor. And so I feel like that whole episode, and even the episode after that, just felt very much a Jordan appreciation moment, because um, even when they're telling Dr. Gannon, it's like, oh, thank you for saving me. It's like, oh, you have to thank our deputy mayor for that. And the music that was going along with it. I mean, I get all props to Jordan.
Yeah, Jordan does deserve that. And actually, that kind of goes along with my next category, which is amusing stories of the week. I'm going to flip them. And since you talked about Jordan, Isaiah and Jordan were actually up there for me, the one of the amusing categories, stories of the week. I really like the conversation that Isaiah had with Jordan. Um, when he, and then I liked, like you said, that when Jordan was speaking, he didn't, well, Jordan, when Isaiah was speaking, he didn't quite realize that Jordan was a female. And he kind of lit up when Jordan walked into the room. And I kind of got a kick out of that. So, so I did like that storyline or the scene with Isaiah and Jordan together. The second storyline that I really liked this week for amusing storylines anyway was Lois and Tracy. Um, Tracy called a meeting of the deception group. And Lois, of course, we did find out previously that she is getting dialect lessons. And so for the first time, the deception crew heard Lois speaking, and they stared at her because they looked at her and they didn't know what happened to Lois. And so, and they point blank asked her, it's like, what is wrong with you? And she said that she was taking dialect lessons, and Tracy was just smiling. And I just thought they did a really nice job with that particular storyline in that particular instance, and kind of showing the effects that this had. Brandon, did you have any amusing stories of the week or storylines of the week?
So I'm going to echo what you're saying about Tracy, but I'm going to actually do the scene right afterwards, and I'm going to say the interaction with Tracy Quartermain and James.
Oh, yes, they did have a nice conversation.
Yeah, especially when James called Tracy hangry, and they're just like, "You called Tracy Quartermain hangry?" It's like, and you live to tell the tale.
Yeah, yes. I really like the way they're portraying Maxie in regards to how she's working with her children. So I like James, and Tracy doesn't know what to do with James. I think she's amused by him too.
But yeah, but Tracy Quartermain all week though, but especially that scene.
Yes. All right, my next category is the welcome back storyline. And this week I did not have one. I was welcoming back because I could not think of anyone who had been gone for a significant amount of time who that came back this week. Brandon, was there anyone for you that actually stood out?
Not to my knowledge. I always feel like these weeks just sort of blend in with each other, but I don't think there was anyone this week. Question mark?
All right. All right. And the next category is a new one for us this week. And it was either the best liar or best withheld piece of information this week. And that one actually belongs to Christina because um, I knew there was something in my mind. I was thinking there was something else going on with the storyline. I just didn't know which character it would be. And so Christina comes out at the end and speaks to Michael toward the end of the week and says, "Oh yeah, I did go to the Quartermain Mansion." And she drove there. And if you remember correctly, she was driving her mother's car. So that to me was a shock. I guess I should have seen that coming. I didn't, but yes. So I don't know where else they're going to go with the storyline and what else Christina is hiding back. But this is one that really, it takes a lot to surprise me. This one surprised me. All right, Brandon, did you have a best withheld information or best liar of the week?
Violet. No, I'm just kidding.
But
No, definitely with Christina. Although my reference though to Violet is that Tracy Quartermain was just really complaining that Violet's telling everyone that Brooklyn and Chase are going to have a baby, so which adds to another hilarious storyline. But yeah, definitely with Christina. With that because that just really had been. Uh, yeah, I withheld from us. I mean, I knew there was something suspicious going on, but the fact that she just casually mentioned that and that she didn't really crack under pressure because she was about to say practically everything else, but that we hadn't even had a chance to see.
yeah, and it's interesting that Michael was the one who knew she was lying or not telling the truth. And that came rather than even though, and maybe Alexis did know that the truth wasn't there because she knew she had the cover for her. But when Michael kind of make mention that you're doing this thing with your face, what is going on? And then when she said that, I was like, oh, okay. I wasn't expecting that. Alrighty. And then the fast forward moments of the week. People may not like this, but my fast forward moment of the week was actually for me Lucky. Not in the sense because I really do like Lucky. It was the fact that the scenes are just going too slow, and I need for them to hurry the storyline along a little bit more. And so, even though I was amused by some of the things that what was going on with him, um, the storyline itself, because it was not moving forward, made me say he was the fast forward moment of the week for me. All right, all right, Brandon, did you have one?
I would hate to say that I'd have to agree with you on that. I mean, just because we're seeing him in this predicament, but we don't really see progression at this point. That he's just sort of uh, standing still, but yeah, I mean, it would have to be that. Although I do have a amusing storyline to add from earlier, and that is the sort of the triangle of John Brennan, Anna, and Carly. But yeah, I don't. Yeah, I really like seeing stuck unlucky, but in the same regard, it's just like you're saying, it's not really progressing. It's just staying still. Maybe they're holding for next week.
Yeah, maybe they are. And which leads me to the next questions that I have for the following week coming up. First of all, Isaiah. I'd like to see a little bit more about Isaiah. I've decided I like him. So I'd like to see a little bit more about his storyline and who is he really related to. You and I have talked about some things in regards to, I don't necessarily know if he's related to someone on the General Hospital set, but rather the One Life to Live set. And so, meaning the Gannon storyline, I did watch One Life to Live years ago, and I know Brandon, you've never seen it. But yes, so I'd like to see if they're trying to bring in the Gannon storyline. And here's another reason why they could possibly be the Gannons because I believe they're both lawyers, and I think right now Alexis needs a lawyer. And what a great way to do it would be to bring in one of the lawyers to come and help Alexis during her time period. Let's see. And the other storyline that I'd like to see, and I was rather amused more so, is the Rick storyline. And it's scary that I'm saying that because I really don't like Rick as a character, but so far he's been almost okay. And I say that in regards to Rick helping Ava. I think that might be amusing just to watch because Sonny may not have as much of a chance with Rick there. And if Rick is going to help Ava. I know that he has Diane, but Sonny has all these other things going on in his life right now, so I'm not quite sure what he'll do in a courtroom. So, so those are the two storylines that I kind of like to see if they tackle next week. And of course, with the Africa storyline, also to see if everyone finally meets up and see if we can kind of get some resolution with Lucky. All right, Brandon, what about you? What storylines are you looking forward to next? Possibly looking forward to next week?
Well, first of all, I really want to see where in the world are Laura and Kevin.
Yeah, they seem to be missing.
Yeah, I was expecting like a whole on expedition, sort of like what we were having a couple years ago with the whole Ice Princess storyline, where that was the main focus storyline. But we seem to just have left them in the wilderness somewhere. I mean, we know they don't have the location, but I mean, they're just sitting there, or did they even make it there? Did the sun capture to the plane? I mean, we seem to have nothing there. But I'm intrigued to see what happens to the Corinthos family, like the extended Corinthos family, those around Sunny, because it seems that they are all taking the fall, directly or indirectly, for Sunny's doings, whereas Christina is highly questionable at the moment. Of course, Rick is trying to sort of go after Sunny indirectly through helping Ava, but yeah, of course, Molly, who is his niece, is suffering still. Alexis was just arrested. Carly just left being arrested a couple weeks ago. I mean, Jason had to dispose of the weapon. So I don't see anything per se going wrong with Sonny, but rather everybody that's around him. So I would personally like to see him actually step up, you
Mm,
know, because yeah,
yeah, and I agree with you there, Brandon. All right. And so if anyone else would like to mention what categories they'd like, if they'd like for us to actually add a new category in, or if they have some other things that we left out this week, please feel free to write it in the comments below. And thank you so much for watching this week on Port Charles Chat. And we look forward to speaking to everyone next week.
yeah, we look forward to seeing you then. Have a wonderful day, and hope we find Scott by the end of the week, maybe.
Yeah, let's see if we can find Scotty. All right, everybody. Have a great day.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.